What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here, welcoming you to part 30 and the very last part of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Malagor Immortal Empires campaign. It is interesting to see that Morgor, Khazrak, and Taurox, all the other legendary beast lords, are in the same place, but it is the right place, right? Because it is the last holdout of the Wood Elves, Athelloran having long fallen to the Dark Elves there, although we probably won't end the campaign with the Oak of Ages in anyone's hands, but Malagor's. It was nice to fight other stronger factions. Anyway, the Imperials have pretty much fallen. We've at the very least ourselves crippled Visenland and Nullen's and capabilities, raising Nullen and taking out their armies, and I think the other Chaos forces would just overrun them with time, even without our help. Otherwise, I guess we can start getting to it. Ooh, actually, wait, one other thing before we do, because we gotta end the turn and then fight at Zharr-Naggrund and probably around where the Sisters of Twilight are as well. This is going to be a good fight, and definitely have to give Magok a nice final Pyrrhic victory if we can manage to pull it off against all of this, but I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. But speaking of Magok, the other thing, Magok the Bloodhorn and Sla the World Eater are contenders in this campaign to join the community canon, both for their services. Magok, I think, had the better fights just by virtue of having the, all those Pyrrhic victories. He had to work for every single fight and was very nicely cornate, appropriately so, in his victories. So, yeah, he is a contender, and Salah as well, who's also had some fantastic fights, and I liked his whole sort of story of traveling the world to acquire exotic poisons for Nurgle as well. Seems like it's a little bit of an unusual thing for a Beastman to do, and I like that. Certainly sets him apart. I don't like his name, though. Slaw is Slaaneshi and World Eater is Cornate, and he's very much a Nurglite guy, so if we do keep him, we will be changing his name. Anyway, both Slaw and Magok, I am at this point opening up the suggestions for or any changes to their names and suggestions for their stories, of course partially based on what happened and with them in this particular campaign, as in to explain how their story unfolded here, obviously without reference to like other legendary lords and stuff like that, just stuff that would fit within the canon. And as usual, I will decide as to who, one or both of that we keep, depending on what grabs me, and just combine suggestions and all of that, plus all of those that you have already left over the course of the campaign as well. Anyway, that's enough from me. Let's end the turn, and okay, actually, let's get some siege equipment going. Also, you should have that. Get some siege equipment going just in case they don't sally out, but I'm 99.9% sure they will, because they have another full stack, so let's see them try. Now, actually, what I also wanted to do was raise an arm. I'll just do it next turn. Not like it'll matter over much. Alrighty, Zharr-Naggrund, where are we? Oh, right, it's the orgs I was waiting for. Well, actually, Zharr-Naggrund, there we go. I see Krusha Gitwrencha has come on down. We got a colossal squig. Valiant defeat, casualties high. That's what the Bloodhorn loves to see. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Magok the Bloodhorn's likely last fight of the campaign, and this is a rather nice map to fight it on. Almost all other armies, I think we would be, defending the river, as there is a very nice location here to prevent the enemy from easily fording it, but it's a Cornate army. We're not doing that. And, ooh, looks like the enemy is going to launch a little bit of spell work at us. We're going to counteract that by popping the shield on the Skullgores, who do take the hit, but between the massive amount of ward save and the massive amount of spell resistance and that they have, it looks like that did a little to nothing to them, not even knocking out a single unit. Magok closes the distance first and starts stomping and goring the various units of Doomdiver Goblin crews while we await the arrival of the rest of our units. And here we go. It looks like the slightly faster Blackhorn's Ravagers, Bloodhorn's Ravagers, make their way forward, starting to use their overwhelm effect on those Black Orcs before the chosen Khorngors arrive and start laying waste to the enemies with their dual axes. I still remember how weak, sort of, the the Chosen Khorngors felt at sort of the start of the campaign, because they had relatively low melee attack, but now with all the buffs that we can give them, they are massively damage-dealing units. And they have had some significant upgrades to their armor-piercing damage. It used to be low, now they got 45 armor-piercing plus the 20 bonus versus infantry as well. Pretty darn solid. Anyway, this first little army is getting blobbed up, and that is not going well for it. While the enemy reinforcements have arrived, or will arrive in 5 seconds, it will be on the other side of the map, and that ain't so great. And there is a smaller amount of reinforcements arriving, a cave squig riding lord, plus a colossal squig, which will move right past the Bloodbrute Behemoth, which is busy in a little bit of red versus blue action as it faces off against an Arachnarok Flinger. But it should have absolutely no trouble. We see the Flinger is down by about 40% of its HP, while the Bloodbrute is basically unharmed. The enemy lord, unfortunately, has been floating overhead and just annoying us with spells, rather than touching down and fighting, but what can you do? The Bulgors have arrived and are fighting together with those Khorngors, or Chosen Khorngors. It's an absolutely nasty combination. And I imagine that those Black Orcs stand no chance, especially with the various combined debuffs that they're going to suffer. Oh, I do notice that the AI has activated a movable bulwark, though, so at least it's using the SFO abilities. Nice. I appreciate that. Alrighty, tactically though, there isn't too much to say about this army, and frankly it is pretty much done for. It looks like the Bloodhorn tribe has obliterated the Colossal Squig, which is now running away, and the same thing goes for the Arachnarok Flinger, which is fleeing from the Bloodbrute Behemoth in desperation. We're gonna take the minute or so to make sure that we kill as many of these troops as we can. Certainly don't want to be fighting them again or allowing them to withdraw. And besides, the enemy full stack of reinforcements is coming, but it's gonna take a while to get here, so we certainly do have the time to kill a few more units and reform as needed. Though it does look like the enemy lord will still be casting a few spells. Gotta be careful about him dropping anything significant on us. Do you have Foot of Gork available to you? You do not, okay. Which I guess works nicely for us. He does have Brain Burst and Gaze of Mork and Headbutt, all of which are great and could certainly do damage to our blob, but not nearly as much as the Foot of Gork would. Anyway, it looks like the first elements of the enemy reinforcements have arrived. We're going to meet the Boar Boys charge with our Minotaurs, i.e. our Bulgors. I don't imagine the Orc Boar Boy Biggins will have too much of a chance to deal with them, but even if they did, we've got the Khorngors moving in to help out as well. And the Boar Boys, while they are massively damage-dealing units, they are relatively fragile and slow for cavalry. They cannot escape our infantry, as our infantry run faster than they do. And they certainly aren't escaping the Bulgors and all that, especially with the mass and fast movement that they have. Bloodbrute Behemoth has found himself yet another enemy to fight, as it is a regular Arachnarok this time. A little bit stronger in melee in SFO than the Arachnarok Flingers. Again, one of the things I really love about SFO is changing sort of variants of units to be slightly different from each other. Now, that unit did not die. That was a Manticore that we summoned to annoy that enemy caster, and it ran out of the minute-long sort of summoning time, or time that it had on field. Here we have a little bit of piggy-on-piggy action as well, as the Boar Boys face off against our units of Mad Cow. No, wait, no. Mad Cows are the Khorngors. Bacon on steroids. Razor Gores, obviously, but, you know, bacon on steroids. In this particular case, and it looks like our bacon's a little bit more roided out than theirs is, and in fact, our Razor Gores are considerably bigger than the pigs of the Boar Boy Biggins. They must be jealous. Otherwise, it looks like the battle is starting to go very well in our favor to about 70%. There are a few enemy range units who are firing away at us, but as usual, the Beastmen will leverage their extreme speed. 68 on the Korngors. Sure, 68 speed isn't the same kind as the Chosen Slangors with 120 or whatever nonsense we've gotten them up to, but 70 speed on an infantry unit is still insane. Absolutely insane, and everybody's kind of funny looking when they run, but it's alright, because it's not as funny when they run you down. Alrighty, and it looks like the battle is very nearly ours now. A third Manticore, I believe, is now being summoned as we've gotten the enemy lured down to maybe 30% of its HP, about 30% per summoned Manticore. And since our caster has it down to 6 mana cost for summoning a Manticore, say 18 mana for taking a lord off the map isn't too bad. And certainly for a level 27 high level lord with a mount as well. I guess it does work out quite well for us that the Great Shamans, Savage or Great Shamans, do not have much in the way of melee defense, which allows the Manticores to do their work. Anyway, with that, the defenders of Zharr-Naggrund fail, and another great herdstone will be raised in place of the Chaos Dwarf's former capital. Alrighty, there we go. Actually, a heroic victory to end the campaign for Magok the Bloodhorn. Not nearly as pyrrhic as I figured it would be, considering we were facing off against 2 stacks, including a tier 5 garrison. But you know what? That's just a testament to the strength of Magok and the Bloodhorn tribe, and in terms of the Bloodhorn tribe, as in the army and the entire and the unit of Bulgors there. Black Forest Ham, 43,000, wait, 33,000 rather, Bacon on Steroids, 31k, and 33 on the Skull Pigs. As always, these guys do fantastic. Barely any kills on the Blood Brute Behemoth, however, 34,000 damage and 5.2k. Absolutely massive damage deltas. Gold value, because it was fighting giants and Arachnaroks, and whatever it could get its, I don't know, punch daggers on. But anyway, Mad Cows and Bloody Hooves and Bloody Bulls all also did well, of course, as well as the Wrathful Despoilers with a massive 48,000 damage, just managing to slightly edge out the Blackhorns Ravagers. We should have renamed you to Bloodhorns Ravagers, that would have made sense. But yeah, beautiful work out of every single unit in the army, and we bid farewell to those named units, which performed so well. I guess we'll take the healing, because when he auto-resolve it remains here, since the garrison remains, well, alive. Just barely so, however. Hostile hero activity, wound, critical failure. Ouch. Alrighty, and indeed it does look like Khazrak is going to be the Beast Lord of choice for the Heralds of Ariel to attack. We presented 3 options, and it looks like Khazrak's the ones they get to pick. Alright, well, this is probably Khazrak's final battle then, and I'm sure he's glad he gets to fight some Wood Elves. Not Todbringer, unfortunately, but we did kill Todbringer in Khazrak's quest battles, so anyway, go. Alrighty, here we go. Khazrak's last fight against the Heralds of Ariel here. Should be a fun one, I'd wager, especially with Wood Elves and Beastmen clashing beneath the canopy of the trees. Now, that said, I think Khazrak is probably our best counter to Wood Elf armies. It's our only army that has, well, other than the newly acquired ranged army, but we do have a decent amount of ranged firepower in this army, A, and B, this army is so ludicrously, insanely fast that there's no way that pretty much any unit in the game can escape us. As in all of those Wood Elf units that would be so annoying in terms of kiting us around and harassing our units, just ain't happening. As the combination of chariots, who are being menaces in the enemy backline, as well as our dogs and our chosen Slangors, and just tear through the enemy ranks and prevent all those Glade Guard and other range units from doing anything. Lovely, and Khazrak, of course, doing the same. There we go, nice little charge through a few of the enemy units. He is not really fighting enemy lords, but it's not really what he's for on the chariot. I'm better to do this and get the kill counts up. In the meantime, the balance of power has rapidly shifted to about 70% in our favor, especially as the Dryads have been torn to shreds largely on the front line, though they did hit us back reasonably hard as one of the chosen Slangors units is down to about 20%, but just the one, and that one because it was fighting 3 units of Dryads at the same time. Plus, it's allowed us to peel away more units to chase more of the enemies down. The chariots continue to do solid work, getting decent amounts of kills and solid damage to the enemy, who admittedly has gotten a few shots off on him, bringing them down by about 30% of their HP, but at the same time not doing enough damage to actually knock any of their models out. And any unit that isn't being tied up by our melee units is being obliterated by the combination of Ungor Raiders and the units of chosen Sangors. It looks like this army is just about done here, as the balance of power, well, about 80% now. Love seeing those magical arrows come down upon the enemy, and once again must be tremendously insulting to the Wood Elves. It does look like we've been having a bit of a Melkot's mystifying miasma off, as in we and the enemy alike are both casting it repeatedly. And do a little bit of damage, and it's doing some work to hurt the Slangors. While the Slangors are extremely quick, their melee defense and their armor is middling, and thus they will take a fair bit of damage if we're not careful. Alright, another nice charge from Khazrak, as well as another unit of Slangors. The bounce power up to 90% in our favor now. One of our Wargors has caught one of the enemy Waystalkers, finally one of the enemy heroes actually fighting, although it did spend a while trying to escape. But it looks like it ain't winning this one, and in fact the enemy army ain't winning this one either. With that, the Wood Elves shatter, and the battle is ours. Not a very long battle, mind you, but well, with Khazrak in particular, considering his army's speed, pretty much every single battle is almost like an ambush battle. Alrighty, there we are. Another very nice fight. Khazrak defeats the Wood Elves soundly. Of course, the enemy heroes and lords pretty much all escape, but we don't have an easy way of catching them. I suppose if we could try to surround them with one of the Slangors, maybe. But frankly, they were all, or most of them, were way too close to the edge of the map, and there wasn't a high likelihood of chasing them down. The signature doggos did very well, with 26k being the max amount. The chariots are, of course, menaces in the enemy's backline. 22k damage on one of them, 24k damage on the Brayers of Excess, and a solid 30k on one of the other chosen Khorngors. The various range units were, well, doing okay. 4,000, I mean, on par or better, actually a lot better than most of the enemy Glade Guard, which feels appropriate. It was only one army after all, so our numbers aren't going to be as inflated as against 2. Anyway, we'll take the healing, devour those Wood Elves, and it looks like that's the only attack that we'll receive there. Alright, fair enough. Anybody else approaching Zharr-Naggrund? Doesn't look like it, which means... Oh, now we get the Burning Book of Khorne, Volume 3 and 4. What does the 3 and 4 do? While this item is good, there's a chance to find more volumes of the Burning Book of Khorne after battle. Cannot be removed. Attribute Rampage. Khorne Corruption plus 30 all provinces. Our Khornate Corruption is already insane. Wound Recovery. Attribute Revealed. Oh, I think only lords can take this, right? I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter anymore since the campaign is over, but... Anyway, New Plague Among Us, yeah, it'll do that. And it's the same type of item as this, and if only lords can equip it... was it burning? Yeah, only lords can equip it. That's a little bit of a shame, because I would have preferred to put it all into this one army. But what can you do? What can you do? Torox? What do you currently have equipped? You have the Chalice. Well, you're just gonna have to do with that. We're gonna give you the Burning Book of Khorne 3 and 4. Alright. And I see the Sisters of Twilight are here. Oh, they're kind of far from Morgar. I don't like that. I kind of wanted Morgur to deal with them. At the same time,
Our time must not be wasted.
their army is kind of meh. Morgur hasn't fought nearly as much as Torox, which is why I was kind of more inclined to say I'd rather have Morgur do it. You know what, Morgur, go right here into the Witchwood, ignore the Temple of Adeoth, and actually we'll send Khazrak up that way. Torox, you can stay here. You fought a lot, I will admit, and if we only have the option of fighting one of these armies, I'd rather have Morgur do it. Too bad that the sisters are in range of the Witchwood, otherwise I would have had you Torox attack it, but oh well. You go to the temple. Morgur, stay there. Raise that real quick. Gotta resolve that really, really insane amounts of damage to garbage. Alright, raising it. Not that it matters anymore at this point, but still. Guess move out here. Raid a little bit, take Vol's Anvil and Venomglade. These guys only have a couple of turns in them anyway. And I'd love to move Torox, but I also don't want these guys moving down here. Well, then again, it's a tier 3 now, so it'll be fine. I guess we can move you to Vol's Anvil while you hit up to Hag Hall or Venomglade. If you can reach it in one turn, that'll save us a turn or two. Alright, fine. Torox, jump this way, and if they intercept you... Okay, they will not intercept you. Cowards. Alrighty, the other thing, yeah, see, I decided not to wipe those guys out, and I kind of regret it, but whatever. Too late to matter. Next, you know what, we're gonna go for Eagle Eyes, we're gonna go for the missile resistance. Yes, 10% speed for all units is fantastic, but we got so much speed all over that I think the missile resistance is actually going to be more valuable. Especially with monsters being targeted and all that. Anyway, I want to go into Dread real quick, and I want to go to purchase an army capacity, and then just quickly grab a Great Bray Shaman of the... I guess we'll go for the Chaos Channeler. What do we have here? Arcane Product? No, okay, I don't like those. Yeah, let's do Chaos Channeler. You're going to pop into Hishwatla, and we're going to... the Defenders, just in case these guys attack. I don't really care, but, you know, just in case. Grab some Chaos Spawn and grab a bunch of Bunker Raiders, or... we could always use a couple of doggos. Well, I'd prefer Harpies, though. What kind of enemies are here? Ooh, lots and lots of Savage Orc Error boys. I guess we could charge at them with the with some of the shielded Ungors. Alright, fine, let's do the non-anti-large. Oh, we can only do 2 anyway. Okay, well, get more Ungors. Alrighty, and we could recruit more stuff here over the next couple of turns. Let's do... Can we get any more Chaos? Oh, wow, we're out of Chaos spawn capacity. I could do more, as an increase the spawn capacity. Alright, fine, why not? Where is this spawn capacity? 1, 2, 3. There we go. A lot of Dread, but it's not like the Dread matters that much anymore, so 1, 2, 3, there we go, that should be good enough. And you, sir, you're going to level the Fury of the Herd. You're going to go for... I believe I always go Hardened Pelts. Obviously, Morsleep's Gift, obviously Darkling Spirit and Distorted Reality, we always get those, and Speaker of Darkling Council. Max out Flock of Doom and Wild Heart and Missin's Wild Form, because we spam those a lot. And if you're going to have a bunch of Chaos spawn in this little army, it will probably never fight, but just in case it does. I guess that's Freakish Mutations, right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Then we have exactly 2 points remaining. It will mean ignoring Pan's Impenetrable Pelt. Ooh, and Fueled by Blood. But Apocalyptic Visions is nice. Yeah, fine. And we will go for Apocalyptic... Oh, we're just short of Apocalyptic Visions. Well, I'm not redoing it, so too late. Anyway, you can go Dread Gain, I guess. It's the only thing that you have, and then you can sit there and we'll see if these guys decide to attack you or not. Alrighty. Malagor, you're just gonna sit here. For now. You're mostly waiting for your final fight. Oh, their army left? Oh man, I was hoping it would stay there. I'm willing to bet it's gonna try to sail over to the Tower of the Sun. I was hoping it would stay there for Slaw to then immediately kill them, but no, whatever. Alright, Slaw, still go over there. We do want to wipe them out, if nothing else. Raid the Cove, kill the Cove, take the money from the Cove. And Wand of Jet, 20k, that's nice. Let's see, can we spot the enemy army? Or is it halfway to our poorly defended territory already? Oh, well. If it isn't Hilalion, you have a terrible army. Are you gonna run? Yeah, you're gonna run. Do we have decent defenders here or no? Let me just see this. No, not really. They're doomed. They are doomed as soon as Slaw makes landfall, and so is their faction. Magok, you... Oh, right. Go take Zharr-Naggrund, please. We can auto-resolve. Hey, and it didn't perfectly damage us. And raise the Great Herdstone. Beautiful. Alright. And that gives us the missile strength plus 10% for all armies. Would have been nice to have gotten it when, you know, we had Khazrak there, but what can you do? And... oh, Slaanesh, yes. Whatever. I don't see Grimgor. I was just wondering whether we could fight Grimgor, but we've already... It's unlikely. I mean, maybe, but it's unlikely. Anyway, let's see. Pa, do you need to find or kill anybody? I guess you can go to Spite Peak. Do we trust Cyanlet to go there? He could fail. I'm gonna say no. No trust. Never trust anybody. Alright. And if they have a full army there, then, you know, these guys wouldn't be able to deal with it anyway. Now, they do not, but we will not. Free little gift of chaos. We haven't had as many of those as I would have liked. What can you do? Raise in advance. That's what we can do. Alrighty. Keep the gift of chaos, I suppose, and then start moseying on back to Sump Pit. Who else do we have? Goros Wildheart, you do not need to move, and Borgor, I keep forgetting who you are. Oh, you're the one that's with Goros Wildheart, yes. Alright, fair enough. And you, alright, the Tech Thief, you have not gotten, we haven't really needed you. I'm surprised that, why is Chaos doing so poorly at taking these guys out? Maybe, oh, critical failure. Well, we didn't need you anyway, so whatever, you die now. You deserve that. These guys are at war with everybody. We've crippled their capability. They're surrounded by factions that are at war with them, and they're still holding on. I think it's just, once again, the AI conspiring not to actually kill them off. Anyway, I guess we are going to end the turn. I would like to wipe out the Witchwood here. And then that'll allow us to do the final battle after this is done, assuming there are no other battles. What is this? Interception, maybe? You're attacking the overlords of Zharr-Naggrund. Oh, these guys want to... Yeah, sure, why not? Why not? And this will actually allow us to heal up. Lovely. Alright, will the Sisters of Twilight dare to attack, or will they just run away? Lord Skroak has ended their military access. I don't care. Alright, no attacks from Visenland, no attacks from Grimgor. And no attacks from the Heralds of Ariel. Cowardice. Pure cowardice. Alrighty, hey, completely expectedly these guys will attack us. We're not going to bother calling allies to help, and... Alright, well, I guess we're fighting this. I mean, we could auto-resolve it, but this seems like a reasonably fun fight, and... yeah... I mean, it's a lot of range units, eh? But it is a bunch of Savage Orcs. It's not like we'll get another chance for one of these. And since it's a Great Herdstone, it won't be a special location. It'll just be a regular field battle, which might keep it fun. So go. Alrighty, here we go. We have got one little fight with this randomly summoned lord here, but I think it should be a pretty fun one. And it's not like we fought a lot of Savage Orcs, so the Bone Clubbers tribe, and we're going to have to enjoy our fight against them. Let's see how we do. Now, we do have 6 units of unbreakable units of Bestigors, and they got armor and armor piercing, and I think they should do pretty darn well. The enemy does have 2 armies, but the second army is coming in as a reinforcement in a minute, and we should be able to close the distance even without the buffs that we would otherwise have in other armies to our speed quickly enough. The enemy does even have a Cygor, so it's not just the Savage Orcs, but even one of our own units against us. And we'll take a fair few hits to the Cygor before we close the distance, and the great axes start swinging. The Black Orcs certainly make the Bestigors look tiny by comparison, but conversely, the units of Bulgors make the Black Orcs look tiny by comparison. Alrighty, so, and the Black Orcs' great axes may be bigger than our Khorngors, but then, once again, our Bulgors outsize them, and size does matter, folks, especially when you're a Beastman. Anyway, the balance of power rapidly shifts in our favor. Of course, it'll be shifted right back as soon as the enemy reinforcements arrive. We also have our units of regular Gors, who we Vanguard deployed in the corner of the map and are going to be using to run down the enemy range units, especially the Twin Axe Gors, to work their way through those Error Boys as quickly as they can. The Error Boys, of course, are anti-large and are thus a threat to our Giants and our Bulgors and, well, any large units, obviously. And I do very much like the Savage Orc Error Boys as units, so we do have to be careful with them. Although perhaps more so with the second army, as the first army is pretty much destroyed. The enemy lord has nearly been beaten by the giant here, which is hardly a surprise here. And will attempt to escape, but I imagine since you're on foot, you are not escaping that giant, buddy. Oh, didn't even get a swing at him? Oh, he just got stomped, he just got crushed by the giant. And similarly, the enemy Cygor got run down by our Beastman giant as well. You picked the wrong war herd there, Mr. Cygor. Anyway, as the second army has arrived, the first army has been destroyed, so we are going to regroup, reform in a moment. While we get a Flock of Doom cast upon the enemy, we got a solid 46,000 damage. I mean, we've seen the Flock of Doom spam non-stop from Malagor throughout the campaign, and frankly, we've been using the Beast lore a lot over the course of this particular campaign, though I have grown pretty fond of the Wild lore as well. The combination of Devolve and Devolve and Traitorkin, the area of effect damaging abilities similar to Flock of Doom, are quite nice, especially since they also offer high damage and debuffs, even if it's in a smaller area with a much shorter cast range. But good spells. Anyway, our Bestigors close the distance again with Piggies and with Bulgors in tow, and unfortunately for the enemy army, they have brought way too many Error Boys. No Black Orcs to defend them this time, or at least not high numbers of Black Orcs, and where those are, we once again have our armor-piercing Bulgors ready to tear them to shreds, like so. I do like the sounds of these sort of axes impacting on the armor. It does sound like a bunch of heavily armored troops facing off against each other. Clang, clang, and all that. But it looks like the clanging won't last for much longer either, only to be replaced by the cacophony of the braying herd. With that, the second army shatters, and the battle is ours. We're going to make sure to run everybody down, and hopefully destroy this faction, so that we don't have to deal with it again. Alrighty, very nice. All units destroyed, and, well, we did pretty well in terms of not taking a crazy amount of damage either. Not that it would have mattered over much, but, you know, it is a great herdstone and all that. Minus the fact that it doesn't have a freaking herdstone, but anyway. Yes, I will complain down to the last minute about the only places that should really definitely have a herdstone not having a herdstone. But anyway, I digress. Very nice. We will, I guess, heal up. Doesn't really matter. Yeah. Bestigors did well, and that unbreakability of theirs, I'm sure, is very nice. And all must fight. When one falls, no matter how far. I guess we don't technically really need to travel anymore, so none of this really matters, does it? Nothing would help us in fights. I'm gonna say when one falls, just for the replenishment, just in case we need to replenish something. Ritual of Ruin available. It has Shuatla faction destroy. They basically destroyed themselves attempting to annoy us, which, you know, is pretty par for the course for how the AI plays, so yeah, not surprising. Anything else we have that's interesting? Buffs for Ungors that don't really matter. Buffs for heroes that don't really matter. Well, the buffs for Centaurs are something. Admittedly, we do have a fair amount of these guys. Frankly, maybe I should have done this last turn. As for which one of these, I'm going to say speed. Yes, technically that doesn't buff the range capabilities, but more speed on Centaurs means the ones with the throwing axes can't be caught by anything, which is a good thing. TM. Anyway, and are you kidding me? Did the Sisters of Twilight abandon the Witchwood? They ran away. Wait, did they really run away? Wait. Well, I mean, Morgar still gets a fight because it's a tier 5 garrison, but they ran away. What is this? I was not expecting that. I'm not entirely sure where they ran to either. Huh, go figure. All right, Torox, go here. Oh, there they are. All right, well, go chase down the Sisters of Twilight then. While Morgar burns down the Witchwood and Khazrak takes out a few more of these. Alright, Vol's Anvil is gonna be the go-to place then. Oh, I guess they're trying to move up north where they could potentially, maybe win a battle. Good luck to them. Truly, I wish it. Alrighty, you go into raiding stance and move up to Venom Glade. I guess we'll spend a little bit of cash on buffing up both of these territories because they're the ones that are likely to get attacked by the Sisters of Twilight, but with maxed out garrisons, it ain't gonna work out so well. Malagor, do we wanna take the time to attack the Oak of Ages? I mean, I guess we could. What are you at war with right now?
What is it?
Listen, land, you're not doing anything there, and yeah, you're allied with a bunch of factions that I don't really want to deal with right now, so we can leave the Oak of Ages to, like, the last moment. And just so that we have it at the very final, you know, sort of second. Or maybe right before the battle for the Fall of Man. Do we have any herdstones that wouldn't be in potential danger? I guess it would be this one. Yeah. Did they put the Sword of Cain back? I was wondering whether we could get that for a Malagor. Not that we really need it or anything, just... I don't see it on them. Oh, it's all the way out there. I guess we could send Torox to pick it up, but that's probably not worth the time it takes to get over there. And hello! Another little army, isn't that cute? This place is pretty good, though. This place, however, is going to need more defenses. And we're out of the money in order to get that, eh? Well, one of these stacks is, if not quite full, at the very least nearly so. You know what? Take 2 additional Sangors. Rather than bothering with the heroes, we'll pop you into this place, and then we will send you right over to this side. See how Lumandor goes after you. You, Slaw, real quick. I was hoping What's-His-Face would come back, but alas, he's not back. Just land and take this place out. Pretty sure they'll all run. Heroic victory, but nobody will die. Look, I know that, I mean, Slaw has killed 3 times as many elves with much more elites and, what, 6 or 8 sea elementals at once, plus a bunch of Oceanids? This isn't worth his time. He has already broken the elves sufficiently. Raise and advance, and Naggareth destroyed. Hey, and he got body counter out of that, isn't that lovely? Another Gift of Chaos, go into, I guess, raiding stance. And I guess stay here. Alright. Anything else needed? Magok, you can just stay here as well. And no, I'd love to spend some of the money here, but... Hey, there's Grimgor. And we can't leave Zharr-Naggrund, unfortunately. And you know what? We can't have every single battle. Grimgor would have been obliterated by us either way. Probably we wouldn't have to do anything, though I am still annoyed at him for never fighting Cathay. Like, what is this? He went all the way around Cathay, all the way out here, just avoided Cathay and the Empire. Unbelievable. Anyway. Mr. Pa. Looks like Queeg's heading past you. You know what? I guess you're good. Just sit there where you are, Mr. Morgar. I guess it's time to strike? Or do we want to grab the... you know what, let's just grab the Oak of Ages as well. Because then I think next turn will be the time to fight the final fight. Don't bother calling your allies to help. Let's see which of these will join them. No, they will all join them. This would have been fun. If there was still interest in the campaign, it would have been fun to fight 8 billion enemies, but all good, I think. We'll give you the Gift of Chaos here. It's about time that Carrick Stoneheart and gets a special item. Auto-resolve this. And, oh, right. I forgot that the auto-resolve obliterates incarnate elementals, even against this garbage. Auto-resolve, you disgust me. Raise herdstone. And a free Gift of Chaos, and here we go. A little bit of extra missile resistance. Oh, wow, this place doesn't have good defenses. Huh, really? We only have the... why are Beastmen so buggy and really thought out? We only have the one... I only have the one building slot here, and arguably the most important place for Beast. Well, certainly for Morgur. I guess Altdorf for taking out the capital of the any other factions would be more important. Anyway, we betrayed everybody and everybody hates us, but we don't really care. Oh, probably should have. Yeah, these guys are gonna attack Eckendorf. Do we care? I don't think we care. Probably should have waited the turn. But again, I don't care enough. The rats are still with us, or at least some of the rats are still with us. Good for them. Or maybe not so good for them in the sense that it's short-sighted. Anyway, this should be a fun fight. We got those Hawk Riders, which are going to be an annoyance here. Sisters of the Thorn, Blade Singers. This is a good garrison. Pyrrhic victory. Alright, let's see how Morgur's Chaos Spawn handle themselves. Do we have levels on you? Okay, wait. Wargor. Ooh, you need to pick one of these. You're not... Oh, you're supposed to have 2 Jabber Slights and you don't, huh? Yeah, just grab Many-Limbed Fiend then. And in we go. Alrighty, here we go. Should be a fun fight for Morgur, and a lorefully appropriate one, though, assuming he didn't just die. No, okay, he's fine. I got a little bit worried when, oh, he's got 105% missile resistance. Yeah, okay, he'll be fine. I was worried about the Hawk Rider's special ability there. But Morgur is just too tanky, especially against missile fire. Actually, I'm curious, how tanky are our 55 missile resistance on the Chaos Bomb, plus 20% physical, on top of horrible regeneration. That should keep them kicking. And tearing through those. Ooh, we got Blade Singers down here with some Eternal Guard, but we got a big blob of Chaos Spawn, and I don't think the Wood Elves are going to have a fun time here. Frankly, they probably should not have sallied outside of their barricades and should have made good use of them in order to attack us. Devolve and Traitorkin come down upon them as well, debuffing them as well as damaging them. And the battle is well and truly begun. The enemy also sends out some Zoats and Wild Riders. I really wanted to fight outside of the settlement, eh? Doesn't seem like the smartest move, but, well, more power to him, I suppose. Anyway, we annoy the enemy Hawk Riders as much as we can by summoning a Cygor, getting a few of those rocks on them, and it looks like we can knock a decent amount of them if we actually manage to land a shot. In the meantime, our Centaurs of Tzeentch have looped around, and together with the Doggos are going to start tearing through the ranks of the enemy Eternal Guard, or Isolated Eternal Guard. Nice charges from both the Centaurs as well as the Hounds. And though these Hounds were supposed to have been eventually replaced by Jabber Slights, which are currently still with Turoks, and this works as a pretty darn nice combination as well. And them having regeneration does fit nicely with the sort of regen available to Morgur's army. Now, the enemy Hawk Riders have been annoying us tremendously, so we first pop Traitorkin upon them as it drops their speed by 29%, which allows the Cockatrices to get just close enough to cripple their speed using Petrifying Gaze. Down to 14%, which means we establish air superiority, obliterating 2 out of the 3 units of Hawk Riders. And then we'll just have to repeat the same thing. They have 182 speed, so we do need that devolve, or no, not devolve, that combination of Traitorkin and then Petrifying Gaze as well, or else it'll be impossible to catch them. First unit of Eternal Guard has been destroyed by the Centaurs and the units of Doggos, and it looks like the second one will follow suit. There is an extremely threatening unit on the battlefield as well in the form of the Sisters of the Thorn, and we have our specialist unit of Centaurs of Tzeentch against them. Why specialist? This is the Despoilers of the Wind, who have the horrible regeneration thanks to their banner. And thusly, they should be able to out-regen the they should be able to out-regen the toxic venom available to the Sisters, and destroy them without taking too much in the way of losses. And even if a few of the horses, Centaurs, do fall, the horrible regeneration will bring them right back up. And it looks like the one-on-one is going very much in our favor. We've lost about 25% HP to the 55% of the enemy. Looks like we've also captured or gotten close to another unit of flyers, the third and last. And we've finally broken through the lines of elves with our massive pile of Chaos Spawn, which at this current time are basically at 100% HP. we've simply out-healed any damage that these guys have taken. And it looks like the enemy army is just about done for. The balance of power shifts to 100% in our favor, and with that, the battle is ours. Very nice, and a rather quick fight considering this is Morgur's army. I kind of expected it to be slow-ish, but again, these are Tzeentch, or not Tzeentch, these are Chaos Spawn of the Beastmen, and they move very, very quick, as does, well, every single unit in almost every single one of our armies. Alrighty, very nice. The cockatrices, I'm glad to see we're able to establish air superiority against those nasty Hawk Riders, buffed as they are pretty crazily by the Sisters of Twilight faction. Our Tzaangor surprisingly did survive. I guess they are fairly heavily armored and defensive and all that, so even more surprising, perhaps a Chaos Spawn, but the horrible regeneration kept them alive against all the enemy range fire. Our Despoilers of the Wind, unit of Centaurs of Tzeentch, with their Blessing of Filth, horrible regeneration, were able to 1v1 and obliterate the enemy units of Sisters of the Thorn as well, only losing 1 unit to them. All told, pretty darn good, and the Sisters of Twilight lose their capital. Raise herdstone, not that we need it, just principle of the thing, as it tends to be. There we go. And we will give... Oh, they're losing units due to chaos corruption. Yeah, that's fine. We'll give the Sisters of Twilight 1 turn to attempt to attack Taurox, but I'm not going to bother, chasing down all their territories, because I don't think we care that much. So yeah, I guess we could spend a little bit of dread to get a lord here. Most likely I'll just auto-resolve anyway, but if it helps, it helps. And we'll see if the auto-resolve allows the lord to survive. Purchase, and it's funny how dread goes from being such a important thing throughout and then suddenly not really important at all. Anyway, Chaos Channeler, please. Once again, just for the Winds of Magic cost reduction and the ward save reduction, it's a good thing. You have a Razor Gore Chariot, good. And you will have no units, right? Meaning you're better off just being all caster. Meaning we will go for Distorted Reality, Darkling Spirit, Speaker of Darkling Council, Fueled by Blood, Dreads and Charms, and Hardened Pelts, and Tivison's Wild Form, Flock of Doom, Wild Heart. Morseeb's Gift, obviously, for the healing. And I mean, again, I'm just gonna auto-resolve this, but nonetheless. Grab the Amber Spear and Evasion, Earthing Magical Reserves, Transformation of Kadan, Curse of Anarch here, Arcane Conduit, and with the last point remaining, I guess a point into Pan's Impenetrable Pelt. We won't be able to cast everything anyway, because we don't have enough mana, but, well, and if we auto-resolve, none of that matters anyway. Anyway, I think that's it for this. We can freely end the turn. Am I forgetting anybody? I don't think so. And hopefully next turn we can just do the final battle of the Fall of Man. One last chance, I suppose, for Malagor to get that Helm of Dreska buff. It hasn't happened so far. One last chance, and we give him the Accursed Armor instead. So, end turn. And Pa, I thought I told you not to move. Oh, okay, he'll move into Sumpit. Sure, why not? Alright, if the Sisters of Twilight attack... Alright, this. Look, we could win this. I think it's pretty clear that we could win this. We haven't fought a lot of Dark Elves, though. And they are very highly ranked. Damn it. Why can I never say no to a fight? Alright, I'm gonna fight this. Alrighty, here we go. Again, I wasn't expecting to fight this, but why the heck not? When else are we going to have the Beastmen fight a bunch of Dark Elves? Now is what I'm getting at. Alrighty, so it looks like as usual the enemy has deployed its army in 2 sort of sets. So we're going to send 3 units of Bestigors with 1 unit of Razor Gores towards the enemy Lord, sort of the main blob of enemies, while all of our Vanguard deployed regular Gores move towards the other enemy elements, including an enemy artillery piece. There's a lot of range units over on this side of the map, and, well, they're going to have a pretty bad time. Admittedly, though, this is also the side of the map where the reinforcements are coming, including some Cold One Dread Knights and the Cold One Knights, Doomfire Warlocks, some good stuff, led by a new Lord. So we got to break the Dark Elves that are over on this side of the map as quickly as we can, and before the reinforcements arrive and start tearing through these gores. We are going to move 2 units of Bestigors in to reinforce these guys while the fight continues around the enemy Lord. And speaking of the enemy Lord, we will summon a Manticore to attack and dish out that damage, while we continuously try to buff up our Bestigors to allow them to continue in their fight. Of course, these are the ones that are liable to take the most damage, and so these are also the ones that are going to probably go into a rampage, which we can't stop. We're also taking a fair bit of range damage, but we're also dishing out damage back to the range pile with Flock of Doom Spam, which has done significant amounts already, and which is about to be a lot more as the 2 units of Centaurs loop all the way around and get ready to close the distance and rear charge all those enemy range units. Granted, one of the Centaur's units is a throwing axe unit, but it should follow in second, and should be more than enough to deal with the enemy. Ooh, but we will take a little bit of damage as the enemy counteracts that. The Sorceress on her Black Dragon will cast a Burning Head, doing about 25% damage to our units, but we're going to peel away one of the Bestigors to try and help out. The Manticore, combined with the Piggies and the other Bestigors, are doing very well, and the Black Dragon is nearly fallen. Although I guess the Sorceress is probably the bigger target here just by virtue... Well, I mean, they're both one unit, but what I'm saying is that the casting is more of a threat than the dragon is at this point. Solid 13k damage, though. Gotta appreciate that. Alright, well, Riboth Beastbinder has her pet Beastmaster, which has now arrived as a reinforcement, and we have to just charge towards the enemy. They brought a lot of range firepower with them, and of course those Cold One Dread Knights, and regular Cold One Knights. But by keeping them in the trees, hopefully we can keep them a little bit debuffed and thusly dish out a little bit more damage. Unfortunately, or less fortunately I guess, this is a dark map, thanks to being a herdstone map. And I decided that since the last episode we saw that bug with the tower firing 8 billion rocks, I didn't want to rely on that, so we are making sure to keep the fights all away from the actual herdstone settlement. Feels more fair. I don't know if there's something you specifically need to trigger that particular bug, or with it's all towers now, but why risk it, right? Either way, the bounce power has shifted to about 65% in our favor, but I think the battle is much closer in our favor than it appears. The Black Dragon and Sorceress have been destroyed, and as soon as the enemy Cold One Knights buckle, only enemy range units will remain. And as soon as that is the case, the battle will be ours, as we will quickly overrun what remains of the enemy Shades, Scourge Runners, or whatever chariots they have, Cold One chariots, whatever. And by the looks of it, though the Cold One Dread Knights fight valiantly, they are down to 20% of their HP. They got 79 gore kills to their names and 16,000 damage. Very, very nice. But alas, far too many gores for them to deal with. One last block of doom comes down from our Lord. And by the looks of it, with that, the battle is ours. The enemy army shatters. And we got a nice little fight against those Dark Elves. Alrighty, there we go. Was the battle necessary? No, but it was fun, and that makes it necessary. So there we are. And, hey, take the opportunity to fight some Dark Elves. Why not, right? And fight them pretty well by the looks of it. Not even a single unit was destroyed, though it was close to one of the, for one of the Bestigors. Rather, it is the detriment of giving them Unbreakable, which is great generally. Oh, look at this. Which is great generally for our purposes, but the Feral Rage that we had to take to get it, and does leave some of those guys vulnerable. But it's still definitely worthwhile just for the defensive capabilities. If it wasn't for the defenses of the Herdstones, I wouldn't care or bother. Another one. Sana, she would lose. You would lose this tremendously. How often are we going to get to fight Slaanesh, though? Damn it. Alright. Why not? One more. Alrighty, here we go. To be perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea why the otter... Like, I would have fought this anyway, I think, because... You know, Slaanesh. We haven't fought them a lot, but just the very fact that the AI here is, I think it was that Valiant defeat or whatever it said, like, no, just no. We have a very solid army, and we have a caster with us. We have, what, 2 units of Bulgors, 3 units of Razor Gores. That's a lot of strength right there, with 6 units of Unbreakable Bestigors, plus the 3 units of Chaos Spawn that we got from our little reinforcing army, or the army that we spawned here. It's a good pile. And while the enemy does have a Demon Prince of Slaanesh, we have 2 giants to counteract that. Speaking of the Demon Prince, he's going to start the battle off with a quick little lash of Slaanesh down into our Gores, and I have deployed our Gores in front of the Bestigors. Yes, that means they'll take a lot of damage to the charges of the various Slaaneshi units. But it's not like we expect the regular Gores to dish out damage or anything like that. They're just here to take the hurt. And who knows, they might be able to dish out a little bit before the rest of our army close the distance. So let the enemy waste themselves upon those Gores before the Bestigors and our good units move on in. And just giving it a little bit of time, especially since we don't care at all about casualties among the Gores, and then we move in to charge the enemy. Bestigors will have a little bit of a tougher time moving through the enemy ranks, but our Bulgors and Razor Gores will close the distance much faster and start swinging and goring. And swinging as in their axes, not... Well, I mean, it is a Slaanesh army, but anyway. The balance of power is roughly even, maybe slightly in our favor. The 2 giants move to face off against the Demon Prince in the midst of the formation, while we pop off Flocks of Doom on the big pile of Demonettes. Ooh, double swing simultaneous into that Demon Prince. Alright. And I'm sure the Flock of Doom will do very, very well here, as that's a lot of susceptible, fragile demonic units. In the meantime, I was hoping to deploy all of these units here in the trees. They were hidden, but somehow the enemy decided to send a unit of Pleasure Seekers and a unit of Forsaken of Slaanesh in. Oh, I do love glowing units that have a glow when they're in the dark maps. Like generally, or dark portions of maps, but generally, you know, not being able to see the units fight is irritating, but when you have undead or chaos and they're all glowy, it makes for some nice shots. Anyway, the battle continues, as odd as it may seem to actually hold a formation here. But in theory, this is a herdstone. It's just bugged, so we don't actually have the defensive garrison, so we are making use of the terrain and some choke points to some degree. Anyway, time to summon a Cygor on field. Now this is thanks to the bound ability. I think there's a cooldown of 180 seconds before you can get it up and running. But it should still be pretty good. Summoning a Cygor right behind the enemy lines allows it to do massive amounts of damage, and our regular Ungors that were Vanguard deployed, which I may have forgotten to mention, together with the regular Gores that were deployed in those trees there, are now running out or rushing out of their hiding places in order to smash the Slaaneshi army. Surround and destroy them all. I do believe the Demon Prince has at this point been banished by the 2 giants, though they did pretty well. The giants are hurt. And there was an Exalted Huron of Praeton helping the enemy out. And oh wow, that Praeton hits hard. What the heck? Huh, 847? Why does the Slaaneshi Praeton hit so much harder than our giants do? I would not expect a Praeton to hit anywhere near as hard as a giant. Like, right? I mean... the Praeton's the size of a giant's club. It could probably just, you know, grab the Praeton and crush it, realistically speaking. A little bit surprising. Well, it's probably Slaanesh most likely has a lot of buffs to its armor-piercing damage and whatnot. And admittedly, these giants would also have a significant amount of increased weapon strength, probably to around the same level, maybe 900, somewhere along those lines. And they just don't here because this is a garrison. Whereas the enemy is buffed up by the army, so it's all fine, is what I'm getting at. Anyway, the last of the enemy units, a few chaos spawns surrounded and about to be torn to shreds. Actually holding on still somehow. I think all of our units are getting in each other's way unless not attacking. Come on now, somebody kill it. Anybody? There's like a million of you. There you go, Bulgor. You did good work. Anyway, with that, the last of the Slaaneshi units is destroyed, and the battle is ours. Neat little battle line of Beastmen. Not very Beastmanly, mind you, but again, we should have a herdstone here, so I just pretended that the sort of cliffside here and cliffside here offered us our herdstone. Just pretend that this is a herdstone instead, so yeah. Anyway, lovely little fight and a lovely enemy that we have otherwise not encountered. Alrighty, there we go. Why not kill off a random demon prince? And I guess declaring war upon the Slaaneshi did give us a battle we otherwise wouldn't have gotten, so I'm pretty happy about it. Devour the captives. And it looks like that's it. Alright, no further attacks. War declared between Exiles of Khorne and United Maritime Patrol. How is United Maritime Patrol still kicking? I guess they might have an army running around somewhere. I don't know what their deal is. Not that it matters over much. And would you look at that? These guys have sailed across the world to try to annoy us somewhere. I'm sure they'll fail. You can't catch Mr. Lemandor. However, you can set up a hidden encampment here and maybe catch them as they move. So we'll do that. Depending on where it is exactly they go. I wonder if they're going towards the Great Desert of Araby. I guess we'll see. Alright, someone receives Plague, Forbidden Staff, Channeling, whatever. Someone receives Plague, challenge completed for Centaurs. And Sisters of Twilight. Yeah, they're just gonna keep on running, aren't they? Fortunately, we can reach them. Unfortunately, the fight isn't worth it. Yeah, it's the Sisters of Twilight, but then they've been severely damaged by this, and they're probably gonna get ambushed here, and they're in March stance. Yeah, not worth it. They're a cool lord, or cool lords, I guess, but anyway, level 15 against Torrox, one of our mightiest, arguably our mightiest army, just by virtue of how obnoxious the piles of bulls are. And if these cowards are just gonna keep on running, there's no reason to bother with them. Ambush, again. Easy ambushes on those march stances. Oh wow, casualty or punishment? Oh, but it's for the Lord, not... yeah, okay then. And hey, another Book of Khorne. Minus 100 diplomatic relations with all factions. I mean, why not, right? I guess, wait. Can't we just give you the next volume instead? Do we have to... Huh. Does it matter which, I don't know. Rampage for Torrox, that's not great, but whatever. Enemy leadership plus 50? Wow. They fight to the end. I like that. I like that indeed. Alright, well, you can equip the next version of the book. I don't think you're gonna get the... I don't know how many there are, but I assume it's 8. Number of Khorne and all that. Come on, get the last book. Alrighty, Khazrak, you've got a couple of auto-resolves to do, so you can take the book instead of the potion of healing. Too bad we never got a chance to... What does the final book do? I have no idea. I mean, I guess I could just look it up, but... Gilray's Venom Glade plays. I guess I could have gone all the way to Hotek's Column. Auto-resolve and... Wow, right. Severe damage. And can you reach Hotek's Column from here? You can. Didn't get the book, though, or the next volumes. Everybody's corning up. Auto-resolve again, and raise and advance again, and... The Heralds of Ariel destroyed. Beautiful. That's what I wanted before we ended this. Also, you can feel free to pop that ritual. Just so nobody can grab any of these territories. Alright. Well, I guess with the Heralds of Ariel destroyed, there is nothing to do but fight the final fight of the campaign at long last. I was about to say, ooh, Grimgorn, he is here. He is here, but the fact is his army is basically gone already, so there isn't any real need to deal with him. I will, however, just send you out to kill him, just because it's funny. If you can reach him. I was hoping for the ambush, but it looks like he might get away from us, depending on how far we could move. I just want his defeat rate on Magok. It's the principle of the thing. Alright, there you go. We would have obviously won that, like, they would have stood no chance. I think we can all appreciate that. Alrighty, and there we go. Armor +5, all characters faction-wide is also rather nice. Alright, so it looks like though Malagor held the Helm of Dreska for, like, I don't know, gotta be 40 turns? A long time. He unfortunately never got the Helm of Dreska buff, so we are now going to, for the final battle, swap him to the Accursed Armor, giving him 245 armor, absolutely crippling his melee attack, but he doesn't really need it, so it doesn't matter. We could give him the Chalice of Malfleur, but frankly, while he does have regen off the Doomsinger, he doesn't have enough regen to make it worth our time. I'd rather have the additional magics for him instead. He's got 1 point of leveling, so let's get him 1 point of leveling. Doom and Darkness, Mantle of Gorok, frankly, we're never going to use any of those. I was going to go for Unholy Resilience, maybe. Frankly, none of this matters. I guess we could get really cheap Doom and Darkness. Potentially Mantle of Gorok for the summoning of the Spirit of Gorok, but they'll likely, just go for Doom and Darkness, whatever, it doesn't matter. Alrighty, let's level the Bray Shaman. Max out Curse of Anarchy here. It's actually the main reason that we have you. Well, Listens Wild Form and Pan's Impenetrable Pelt as well. And I grab the Transformation of Kadan. Again, I'm not grabbing Flock of Doom in this particular Lord or Hero just because that's Malagor's thing. And otherwise, what do we have here? We got 7 points on Rudigu. Deadly Blade, please, sir. Foe Seeker, you will need Shadow Hide most definitely, and then grab Call to Morsleep. Do you have a Natural Thirst? You do, so grab Woundmaker next. And finish up with Deadly Blade. Alrighty, looks like we're ready to go. You, leave your stance, Malagor. It is time for the final fight of the campaign. Objectives, the Fall of Man. And yeah, as I recall, there's like a ton of armies together. I think it's an Empire army and Bretonnian army, and coming from different sides of the map, and there's a lot to fight. The dark gods are pleased. Mankind is ravaged. They have been taunted, hunted, and broken by the children of chaos. The land is ripe for an even greater invasion, for other followers of the ruinous powers to make their mark, as paltry as it will be compared to the triumphs of the cloven ones. Yet there remains defiance. The armies of Manfilth muster as one, refusing the inevitable. No matter, this is but another opportunity for the Beastmen to prove themselves the most worthy of the dark powers' servants. Find this gathering of might and ensure the fall of man. Alrighty, here we go. Let's start ensuring. We got Lewin, who we didn't get a chance to fight because his faction got wiped out, and we get to meet some Grail Knights and Knights of the Realm, and as I recall, there's actually more reinforcements, including some Pegasus Knights, within the fight. We do have a little pile of our own reinforcements, which is cute. But I imagine we'll be fine. Should be a pretty glorious time. I'm going to quick save it just in case the game crashes. It would be really unfortunate because this finale went like 3 fights longer and twice as long as I was expecting it to go, because I just can never say no to a fight. So the last fight to not say no to. Go. A grand alliance of the Empire and Bretonnia has mustered. It is a desperate act, the dying throes of a race close to extinction, yet a cornered beast is at times the most dangerous. Alrighty, here we go. The Fall of Man, the final battle has arrived. No speech from Malagor apparently, but I think it's just due to the fact that all Beast Lords, Beastmen Legendary Lords share this battle. And it's a pretty darn good one with an absolute ton of enemies to fight, so. And frankly, we've been having a ton of enemies to fight over the course of this particular finale, haven't we? We fought regular orcs, and then wood elves, savage orcs, dark elves, Slaanesh, and now Bretonnia and Empire. Tons and tons of variety here. It's a great note to end off on. And here, Lewin and Carl both close the distance from Malagor. They do a bit of damage to them, but considering they're some of the fightiest lords in the game, and Malagor is very much not a fighty lord at all, it looks like that accursed armor and whatever else he has is doing work for him. But it was just a distraction, of course, as the other flyers start to mob the enemy. And we'll tear both Deathclaw and Beaky, as well as Carl and Lewin out of the sky in short order. In the meantime, down below, the Grail Knights lead the charge as they smash into our small numbers of melee troops, or ground troops, I suppose. But the Jabberslythe and Jabberslythes and two Incarnate Elementals will, if not make quick work of these guys, will certainly be able to hold the ground, especially with Khazrak there. And we got a lot of auras, debuffs, and buffs going here that the enemy are going to suffer. Helm of Discord will activate, and I do believe Carl has now dropped out of the sky, and Mr. Lewin's about to follow. There we go. The blob of flyers will now move down to help the enemy, and speaking of blobs of flyers, another has arrived, and it is of the enemy. This time, a enemy lord leads, 6 units of Pegasus Knights towards us. Perfect vigor area attacks glass cannon, and we'll see how that goes for him. Also, if you're wondering where the Chimeras are, they're over there, they're helping out the other beast herd. And damn, that is a lot of Pegasus Knights, but I think this is an awful place to try to close the distance. Pegasus Knights are relatively fragile, and we have so many Mortis Engine effects available to us here. I mean, not so many, but like 5 combined, plus Flock of Doom. Lots of buffs and debuffs, and just tons and tons of damage. Flock of Doom is going to be joined by a Penumbral Pendulum, and those Pegasus Knights get absolutely torn to shreds. Look at all the buffs and look at all the debuffs in their sort of line. Like, oh, and we got Pigeon Plucker Pendant. I just slow this down for a sec. We got Pigeon Plucker Pendant. We got the Feather Foe Torque, 0 melee attack, 17 melee defenses without Flock of Doom. Without the other thing, without Helm of Discord. We got Scarecrow Banner. The flying units get absolutely countered. They basically have no stats whatsoever as soon as they close the distance with Malagor's army. And that was the last hurrah, the last sort of desperate attempt by the Uncloven Ones to beat our army, and it failed absolutely miserably. I've been sort of building Malagor's army over the course of the entire campaign to be able to super counter any enemy range or any enemy flyers. And just by keeping all of these sort of anti-air items in his army, the Scarecrow Banner, the Feather Foe Torque, blah 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 blah. And finally we get the chance to see it in action as 6 units of Pegasus Knights get wiped out like nothing. And there we go, the enemy lord falls. The Chimeras took care of the 3 enemy units of rocket batteries, as well as the great swords that were reinforcing them. And it looks like the last holdout unit of great swords will shatter. And with that, the fall of man is complete. Absolutely lovely fight, and it's always interesting to see how the different Beast Lords sort of handle it, because obviously the army of Malagor is going to be vastly different from the other Beast Lords. A lovely fight and a heroic victory to end off the campaign as well. Alrighty, there we go. Fall of man complete. The death throes of the Empire and Bretonnia all come to naught, and they were pretty darn soundly defeated. Malagor, as always, getting over 100,000 damage. Once again, pretty much every single battle in the campaign, pretty much from the very start. He's a nasty one. That Flock of Doom spam with his endless Flock of Doom. Beautiful work. And 13k damage on Carrick Stoneheart. I wonder how much the newly acquired Gift of Chaos helped him there. Anyway, we bid farewell to... who's named in this army? It's mostly the Flyers, isn't it? As in the Yeah, alright. Sisters of Slay, and Girls of Prey, Hatemongers, and Hex Girls, of which it looks like at 10k it's the Hatemongers. And that did the best, but of all of our other single entities, and they did very nicely as well. As in, well, all the single entities in general. And we never got to transfer that other Scourge of Arden over to this army, which I had intended from the start, but let's face it, starting all the way at Naggrund, it was going to take way too long to get it down here. Another like 30 turns, I think, mostly just to travel this way, because we wouldn't have traveled without raising stuff, and you know. Anyway, Devour Captives, of course, a feast to honor at the end of the campaign, and hey, defeated Lewin Leon Kerr counts, and defeated Karl Franz counts from this as well. Lovely. Alright, with that, there you have it. The campaign comes to a close. I would say a pretty thorough one. Vicinland Unknown is the only long victory objective that we didn't have, and obviously we could clean them up easily and achieve this, but we don't really care. They're completely surrounded by enemies, and it's a waste of our time and interest at this point. Interest did fall off about 10 episodes ago, but I was having a lot of fun with this campaign. It's been a long time since I played the Beastmen, and frankly, you guys' engagement kept it going as well, so there we are, got it to 30. We did fight a lot of Tomb Kings over the course of this campaign, but I think that's one of the fun things about the different sub-factions. Where you start depends, well, you know, sort of which enemy you fight a lot of, and it was the Tomb Kings for Malagor, and it was certainly fun. Maybe not so fun for Khazrak with that army that kept him, all of his troops running away non-stop, but hey, he still pulled that off, so everybody did well. Anyway, I guess for those interested, we also have the statistics here. Turn 121, total income, highest ever income. Wait, I'm actually curious. Where do we have income from trade, looting, sacking? Really only 330. We got more income from raiding than looting and sacking. I wonder, does looting and sacking not count raising? Or did we actually get less from that than from raiding? Huh, go figure. You'd think that it would be worth more, but honestly, I just personally don't find the sort of raiding playstyle to be a particularly fun one, so even with the Beastmen, I just tended to not do it a lot. Anyway, battles, victories, 290, obviously very battle-heavy campaign, not a lot of admin to do for the Beastmen, just moving our armies around and attacking everybody, and yeah. Minor settlement battle defeats, yeah, okay, we had a few attacks on some of our undefended herdstones, but generally speaking, this is very, very low in every single campaign. I think this is one of the only campaigns where we didn't use the tech thieves as well, which also further cut down on the admins, so lots and lots of fights and little of anything else. Anyway, thanks for sticking with it all the way to the end, folks. We definitely had some shenanigans over the last few episodes, but it damn well did keep it interesting. Hopefully the next campaign is just as good when it drops later today. So, stay tuned for more. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.